So today we have Associate Vice President for Diversity, Lamont Sellers, and he's going to give us a primer for today's screening of the Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. That was a very popular book by Rebecca Skoot that was published in 2010, and the HBO movie featuring Oprah Winfrey was this past April in 2017. So today, if you are able, we would love to see you at 4 o'clock in Churchill Haynes 118. We'll have refreshments, and we have a lovely group of panelists, but I'll let Lamont round that out. So without further ado, please welcome Lamont Sellers.
Good afternoon. So, great. So, like Leslie said, I'm Lamont Sellers, Associate Vice President for Diversity here, and I want to talk a little bit about Henrietta Lacks, the counter-narrative of a dead, poor black woman. So, Henrietta Lacks has a narrative that is unique to her, but there is a narrative in the medical research and biological research arenas that really leaves out the details of the true contributors of all of the advances that we have gotten with regard to medical and scientific research. It's intended to protect the individual, but that has not been such for Henrietta Lacks. Originally, she's from a little town in Virginia called Clover, Virginia. That's where she grew up. She was actually born in Roanoke, Virginia, but grew up in Clover and left Clover in her 20s and moved to Baltimore, Maryland. When she was living in Baltimore, Maryland, her husband had gotten a job with the steel company there, and they were trying to eke out an existence for them and their family. At the age of 30-ish, Henrietta discovered that she had a mass and went and got it checked out at Johns Hopkins University and discovered that she had cervical cancer. It was at Johns Hopkins University Hospital that she got this diagnosis and made her involuntary contribution to the annals of history and science. The HeLa cells that she became known for, well, she really hadn't been known for until just recently. These HeLa cells actually are the first immortal line of cells that scientists were able to replicate outside of the human body. And these cells were very unique to Henrietta and her experience. The advances in medical and biological sciences are numerous. So her contribution to what we have gotten as people all around the world are tremendous. The millions and billions of dollars that have been spent on research and the billions that have been made as a result of products and various drugs and other things has gone unnoticed and unattributed to Henrietta's involuntary contribution to science. But what about the woman behind these cells? So Henrietta has a narrative all of her own that talks about her moving to Baltimore, about trying to make a place for her and her family there in the city, and just trying to have a life. But as a poor African-American woman in Baltimore, she lacked the resources to really be able to do a lot of the things that we would subscribe to success and all of that, but nonetheless, her family continued on and has endeavored to be able to have an existence of their own. Thank you. No problem. So, as we look at Henrietta's situation, I wanted to bring to the conversation this idea of critical race theory. Derek Bell is known as the father of critical race theory, and it comes out of critical legal studies and is a way or a lens in which we can look at any number of different disciplines, topics, organizations, And it really does bring race to the forefront in being able to understand what it is that we're seeing. There are several tenets to critical race theory, but the one that I want to lift for you today really regards counter storytelling. So our culture, our existence, we have these stories that we have, our lived experiences, our narratives, or stories that we share with one another, and some of those we hold for ourselves. But there is a dominant or majority narrative, and then there are the minority or marginalized narratives that oftentimes go unheard. So as we look at the majority narrative and the minority or marginalized narrative, we realize that it's not valued in the same way as the majority narrative is. And we find that here in the story of Henrietta Lacks and what she went through, because she had a lived experience as a woman living in Baltimore, having had to undergo treatment for cancer and all of these things. But she has a narrative that's only now really coming out and being known. So Henrietta Lacks is important to us because she did give us the HeLa cells. She did give us so much in terms of scientific history and breakthroughs in that regard. But there's a woman behind all of that that really informs a whole lot more to what we should be looking at. So when it comes to talking about giving specimens or medical research, a lot of what happened with her particular situation has gone on to inform policy and procedures for universities across the country and around the world for ethical treatment of individuals and what they contribute to what we have. To continue the conversation and get the true narrative of Henrietta Lacks and others, we have two opportunities going on today. One of those is the Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks showing that's going to be happening this evening, where we will actually explore her particular story, and we have a panel that will be actually talking about various perspectives in that story, from a legal perspective, from a sociological or psychological perspective of Henrietta and her family, as well as from a research-oriented perspective. So we invite you to come out and join us at 4 o'clock, Churchill Haynes 118. And then over in the library, you can hear about even more stories as we try to debunk the myths and misconceptions around stereotypes with the human library experience, where you'll have an opportunity to check out a human book and be able to dialogue with someone about their particular story and their lived experience. Thank you very much.